Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Kṛṣṇa book, chapter 53, Kṛṣṇa Kidnaps Rukmiṇī. After hearing Rukmiṇī's statement, Lord Kṛṣṇa was very much pleased. He immediately shook hands with the Brahmana and said, quote, "My dear Brahmana, I am very glad to hear that Rukmiṇī is eager to marry me, since I am also eager to get her hand. My mind is always absorbed in thoughts of the daughter of Vishnu."
And sometimes I cannot sleep at night because I am thinking of her. I can understand that the marriage of Rukmiṇī with Shishupal has been arranged by her elder brother in a spirit of animosity towards me. So I am determined to give a good lesson to all of these princes. Just as one extracts and uses fire after manipulating an ordinary wood, after dealing with these demonic princes, I shall bring forth Rukmiṇī like fire from their midst. End quote. Kṛṣṇa, upon being informed of the specific date of Rukmiṇī's marriage, was anxious to leave immediately. He asked the driver, Durga, to harass the horses for his chariot and to harness the horses for his chariot and prepare to go to the kingdom of Vidarbha. After hearing this order, the driver brought Kṛṣṇa's 4 special horses. The names and descriptions of these horses are mentioned in the Padma Purana. The first one, Saibya, was greenish. The second, Sugriva, was grayish, like ice. The third, Meghapushpa, was the color of a new cloud. And last, Balahaka, was of asham color. When the horses were yoked and the chariot was ready to go, Kṛṣṇa helped the Brahmana up and gave him a seat by his side. Immediately they started from Dwarka and within one night arrived at the province of Vidarbha. The kingdom of Dwarka is situated in the western part of India, and Vidarbha is situated in the northern part. They are separated by a distance of not less than 1,000 miles, but the horses were so fast that they reached their destination, a town called Kundina, within one night or at most 12 hours. King Bhishmaka was not enthusiastic about handing his daughter over to Shishupal, but he was obliged to accept the marriage settlement due to his affectionate attachment for his eldest son, who had negotiated it. As a matter of duty, the king was decorating the city for the marriage ceremony and acting in great earnestness to make it very successful. Water was sprinkled all over the streets and the city was cleansed very nicely. Since India is situated in the tropical zone, the atmosphere is always dry. Dust always accumulates on the streets and roads, so they must be sprinkled with water at least once a day, and in big cities like Calcutta, twice a day. The roads of Kundina were arrayed with colored flags and festoons, and gates were constructed at particular crossings. The whole city was decorated very nicely. The beauty of the city was enhanced by the inhabitants, both men and women, who were dressed in fresh, washed clothes and decorated with sandalwood pulp, pearl necklaces, and flower garlands. Incense burned everywhere, and fragrances like aguru scented the air. Priests and brahmanas were sumptuously and according to ritualistic ceremony, were given sufficient wealth and cows in charity. In this way, they were engaged in chanting Vedic hymns. The king's daughter, Rukmiṇī, was exquisitely beautiful. She was very clean and had beautiful teeth. The auspicious sacred thread was tied on her wrist. She was given various types of jewelry to wear and long silken cloth to cover the upper and lower parts of her body. Learned priests gave her protection by chanting mantras from the Samaveda, Rigveda, and Yajurveda. Then they chanted mantras from the Atharvaveda and offered oblations in the fire to pacify the influence of different stars. King Bhishmaka was experienced in dealing with brahmanas and priests when such ceremonies were held. He specifically honored the brahmanas by giving them large quantities of gold and silver, grain mixed with molasses, and cows decorated with cloth and ornaments. Dhammaghosha, Shishupal's father, executed all kinds of ritualistic performances to invoke good fortune for his son. Shishupal's father was known as Dhammaghosha due to his superior ability to cut down unregulated citizens. Dhamma means curbing down, and Ghosha means famous. So he was famous for controlling the citizens. Dhammaghosha thought that if Kṛṣṇa came to disturb the marriage ceremony, he would certainly cut him down with his military power. Therefore, after performing the various auspicious ceremonies, Dhammaghosha gathered his military divisions. He took many elephants garlanded with golden necklaces and many similarly decorated chariots and horses. It appeared that Dhammaghosha, along with his son and other companions, was going to Kundina, not exactly to get Shishupal married, but mainly to fight. When King Bhishmaka learned that Dhammaghosha and his party were arriving, he left the city to receive them. Outside the city gate were many gardens where guests were welcome to stay. In the Vedic system of marriage, the bride's father receives a large party of the bridegroom and accommodates them in a suitable place for 2 or 3 days until the marriage ceremony is performed. The party led by Dhammaghosha contained thousands of men, among whom the prominent kings and personalities were Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Viduratha, and Pundraka. Haribo. It was an open secret that Rukmiṇī was meant to be married to Kṛṣṇa, but that her elder brother Rukmiṇī had arranged her marriage to Shishupal. There was also some whispering about a rumor that Rukmiṇī had sent a messenger to Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, the soldiers suspected that Kṛṣṇa might cause a disturbance by attempting to kidnap Rukmiṇī. Even though they were not without fear, they were all prepared to give Kṛṣṇa a good fight to prevent the girl from being taken away. Sri Balaram received the news that Kṛṣṇa had left for Kundina, accompanied only by a brahmana, and that Shishupal was there with a large number of soldiers. Balaram suspected that they would attack Kṛṣṇa, and thus, out of great affection for his brother, he took strong military divisions of chariots, infantry, horses, and elephants, and went to the precincts of Kundina. Meanwhile, inside the place, Rukmiṇī was expecting Kṛṣṇa to arrive. But when neither he nor the brahmana who took her message appeared, she was full of anxiety and began to think how unfortunate she was. Quote, there is only one night before today and my marriage day, and still neither the brahmana nor Shyamasundar has returned. I cannot ascertain any reason for this. End quote. Having little hope, she thought that perhaps Kṛṣṇa had found a reason to become dissatisfied and had rejected her fair proposal. As a result, the brahmana might have become disappointed and not come back. Although she was thinking of various causes for the delay, she expected them both at any moment. Rukmiṇī further thought that demigods such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Goddess Durga might have been displeased. It is generally said that the demigods become angry when not properly worshipped. For instance, when Indra found out that the inhabitants of Vrindavan were not worshipping him, Kṛṣṇa having stopped the Indra Yagya, he became angry and wanted to chastise them. Thus, Rukmiṇī thought that since she did not worship Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma very much, they might have become angry and tried to frustrate her plan. Similarly, she thought that Goddess Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, might have taken the side of her husband. Lord Shiva is known as Rudra, and his wife is known as Rudrani. Rudrani and Rudra refer to those who are accustomed to putting others in distress to cry forever. Rukmiṇī was thinking of Goddess Durga as Girija, the daughter of the Himalayan mountains. The Himalayan mountains are very cold and hard, and she thought of Goddess Durga as hard-hearted and cold. In her anxiety to see Kṛṣṇa, Rukmiṇī was, after all, still a child, thought this way about the different demigods. The gopis worship Goddess Katyayani to get Kṛṣṇa as their husband. Similarly, Rukmiṇī was thinking of various types of demigods, not for material benefit, but in respect to Kṛṣṇa, praying to the demigods to achieve the favor of Kṛṣṇa is not irregular, and Rukmiṇī was fully absorbed in thoughts of Kṛṣṇa, even though she pacified herself by thinking that the time for Govinda to arrive had not yet aspired. Rukmiṇī felt that she was hoping against hope. Not expressing her mind to anyone, she simply shed tears unobserved by others, and when her tears became more forceful, she closed her eyes in helplessness. While Rukmiṇī was in such deep thought, auspicious symptoms appeared in different parts of her body. Trembling began to occur in her left eyelid, arm, and thigh. When trembling occurs in these parts of the body, it is an auspicious sign indicating that something lucrative can be expected. Just then, Rukmiṇī, full of anxiety, saw the Brahmana messenger. Kṛṣṇa, being the super soul of all living beings, could understand Rukmiṇī's anxiety. Therefore, he sent the Brahmana inside the palace to let her know that he had arrived. When Rukmiṇī saw the Brahmana, she could understand the auspicious trembling of her body and immediately became elated. She smiled and inquired whether Kṛṣṇa had already come. The Brahmana replied that the son of Yadu dynasty, Sri Kṛṣṇa, had arrived. He further encouraged her by saying that Kṛṣṇa had promised to carry her away without fail. Rukmiṇī was so elated by the Brahmana's message that she wanted to give him in charity everything she possessed. However, finding nothing suitable for presentation, she simply offered him her respectful obeisances. The significance of offering respectful obeisances to a superior is that one offering obeisances is obliged to obliged to the respected person. In other words, Rukmiṇī implied that she would remain ever grateful to the Brahmana. Anyone who gets the favor of the goddess of fortune, as did this Brahmana, is without a doubt always happy in material opulence. When King Bhishmaka heard that Kṛṣṇa and Balaram had come, he invited them to see the marriage ceremony of his daughter. Immediately, he had arranged to receive them, along with their soldiers, in a suitable garden house. As was the Vedic custom, the king offered Kṛṣṇa and Balaram honey and fresh washed garments. He was hospitable not only to Kṛṣṇa, Balaram, and kings such as Jarasandha, but also to many other kings and princes according to their personal strength, age, and material possessions. Out of curiosity and eagerness, the people of Kundina assembled before Kṛṣṇa and Balaram to drink the nectar of their beauty. With tearful eyes, they offered Kṛṣṇa and Balaram their silent respects. They were very much pleased considering Lord Kṛṣṇa the suitable match for Rukmiṇī. They were so eager to unite Kṛṣṇa and Rukmiṇī that they prayed to the personality of Godhead, quote, "Our dear Lord, if we have performed any pious activities with which you are satisfied, kindly be merciful upon us and accept the hand of Rukmiṇī." End quote. It appears that Rukmiṇī was a very popular princess, and all the citizens, out of intense love for her, prayed for her best fortune. In the meantime, Rukmiṇī being very nicely dressed and protected by bodyguards, came out of the palace to visit the temple of Ambika, goddess Durga. Deity worship in the temple has been in existence since the beginning of Vedic culture. There is a class of men described in the Bhagavad Gita as Veda Rata. They believe only in the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, but not in temple worship. Such foolish people may here take note that although this marriage of Krishna and Rukmiṇī took place more than 5,000 years ago, there were arrangements for temple worship. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, quote, the worshippers of the demigods attain the abodes of the demigods, end quote. There were many people who worshipped the demigods and many who directly worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The system of demigod worship was directed mainly to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Ganesh, the sun god and goddess Durga. Lord Shiva and goddess Durga were worshipped even by the royal families. Other minor demigods were worshipped by silly lower-class people. As far as the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are concerned, the simple worship of Lord Vishnu, they simply worship Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, the worship of demigods is condemned, but not forbidden. There it is clearly stated that less intelligent men worship the demigods for material benefit. On the other hand, even though Rukmiṇī was the goddess of fortune, she went to the temple of goddess Durga because the family deity was worshipped there. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that as Rukmiṇī proceeded toward the temple of goddess Durga, within her heart she always thought of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, when Rukmiṇī went to the temple, it was not with the intention of an ordinary person who goes to beg for material benefits. Her only goal was Kṛṣṇa. As Rukmiṇī proceeded toward the temple, she was silent and grave. Her mother and her girlfriends were by her side, and the wife of a Brahmana was in the center, surrounding her with royal bodyguards. This is custom of a would-be bride going to the temple of a demigod is still practiced in India. As the procession continued, various musical sounds were heard. Conch shells, drums such as panavas, and bugles of different sizes such as turiyas and berries combined to make a sound which was not only auspicious but very sweet to hear. Thousands of wives of respectable Brahmanas were present, all dressed very nicely with suitable ornaments. They presented Rukmiṇī with flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, and a variety of colorful garments to assist her in worshipping Lord Shiva and goddess Durga. Some of these ladies were very old and knew perfectly well how to chant prayers to goddess Durga and Lord Shiva. So, followed by Rukmiṇī and others, they led these prayers before the deity. Rukmiṇī offered her prayers to the deity by saying, quote, My dear goddess Durga, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, as well as to your children, end quote. Goddess Durga has 4 famous children, 2 daughters, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the goddess of learning, Sarasvati, and 2 sons, Lord Ganesh and Lord Kartikeya. They were considered to be demigods and goddesses. Such goddess... how do you pronounce this? Yeah. Okay, this is easier. Since goddess Durga is always worshipped with her famous children, Rukmiṇī specifically offered her respectful obeisances to the deity in that way. However, her prayers were special. Ordinary people pray to goddess Durga for material wealth, fame, profit, strength, and so on. Rukmiṇī, however, desired to have Kṛṣṇa for her husband, and therefore prayed that the deity be pleased with her and bless her with that benediction. Since she desired only Kṛṣṇa, her worship of the demigods is not condemned. While Rukmiṇī was praying, she presented a variety of items before the deity, chief of which were water, different kinds of flames, incense, garments, garlands, and various foods prepared with ghee, such as puris and kachoris. She also offered fruits sugarcane, betel nuts, and spices. With great devotion, Rukmiṇī offered them to the deity according to the regulated principles directed by the old Brahmana ladies. After this ritualistic ceremony, the ladies offered the remnants of the food to Rukmiṇī as prasadam, which she accepted with great respect. Then Rukmiṇī offered her I think it's supposed to say Rukmiṇī. Then Rukmiṇī offered her obeisances to the ladies and to goddess Durga. After the business of deity worship was finished, Rukmiṇī caught hold of the hand of one of her girlfriends in her own hand, which was decorated with a jeweled ring, and left the temple in the company of the others. All the princes and visitors who came to Kundina for the marriage had assembled outside the temple to see Rukmiṇī. The princes were especially eager to see her because they all actually thought they would have Rukmiṇī as their wife. Struck with wonder upon seeing Rukmiṇī, they thought she was especially manufactured by the Creator to bewilder all the great chivalrous princes. Her body was well constructed, the middle portion being thin. Her thigh hips were adorned with a jeweled locket. She had pink lips, and the beauty of her face was enhanced by her slightly scattered hair and by different kinds of earrings. The bodily luster of beauty of Rukmiṇī appeared as if painted by an artist, perfectly presenting beauty, following the descriptions of great poets. Rukmiṇī's breasts are described as being somewhat high, indicating that she was just a youth, not more than 13 or 14 years old. Her beauty was specifically intended to attract the attention of Kṛṣṇa. Although the princes gazed upon her beautiful features, she was not at all proud. Her eyes moved restlessly, and when she smiled very simply like an innocent girl, her teeth appeared like jasmine buds. Expecting Kṛṣṇa to take her away at any moment, she proceeded slowly toward her home. Her legs moved just like a full-grown swan, and her ankle bells tinkled mildly. The chivalrous princes assembled there were so overwhelmed by Rukmiṇī's beauty that they became almost unconscious and fell from their horses and elephants. Full of lust, they hopelessly desired Rukmiṇī's hand, comparing their own beauty to hers. Srimati Rukmiṇī, however, was not interested in any of them. In her heart, she was simply expecting Kṛṣṇa to come and carry her away. As she was adjusting the ornaments on a finger with her left hand, she happened to look upon the princes and suddenly saw that Kṛṣṇa was present amongst them. Although Rukmiṇī had never before seen Kṛṣṇa, she was always thinking of him. Thus, she had no difficulty recognizing him amongst the princely order. Kṛṣṇa, unconcerned with the other princes, immediately took the opportunity to place Rukmiṇī on his chariot, marked by a flag bearing an image of Garuda. He then proceeded slowly, without fear, taking Rukmiṇī away exactly as a lion takes a deer from the midst of jackals. Meanwhile, Balaram appeared on the scene with the soldiers of the Yaru dynasty. Jarasandha, who had many times experienced defeat by Kṛṣṇa, roared, quote, "How is this? Kṛṣṇa is taking Rukmiṇī away from us without opposition. What is the use of our being chivalrous fighters with arrows? My dear princes, just look. We are losing our reputation. He is just like a jackal taking booty from a lion." End quote. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 53rd chapter of Kṛṣṇa. Quote, Kṛṣṇa kidnaps Rukmiṇī.
Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. These are wonderful topics. A girl doesn't want a timid little guy who's just shaking and tentative. Here's the perfect husband, the most chivalrous hero, Kṛṣṇa, who snatches Rukmiṇī from the midst of all the hopeful candidates. Any comments or questions about the text, first of all? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I heard, and I don't remember very, but also I read that Rukmiṇī, when she was kidnapped by Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa needed to fight the soldiers, and so he couldn't control the chariots. So it says that Rukmiṇī took the reins. Yes, and if she was really only 13, 14 years old, I mean, that's a very powerful lady.
She's fit to be the wife of Kṛṣṇa. This comes in the next chapter. We'll find this. Yes. And we heard already that she was politically astute. She already had her plan. How Kṛṣṇa could, first you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you can snatch me. So, and she'd engaged the Brahmin and the whole business. So she was very capable. But she didn't want to be independent. She didn't think, now I'm politically astute, I'm beautiful, I'm influential, I'm strong, I can handle a chariot, I'm on my own. She didn't want independence, she wanted to be the servant of Kṛṣṇa. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Dear Maharaj, last few days we were reading and questions were starting, and I'm very slow-minded, so I felt that I'm losing the context to the text, and there's so many relishable points. So maybe you can give a few remnants of your relishing of the
overview.
Things which we have read. Yes.
From all the chapters or from today?
From as you like, but I was intending especially today.
Okay. I could also split the chapter up and comment as we go, but I was thinking just hearing is so nice, not to interrupt the text with my 2 bits. But here we find that many features. First of all, that Kṛṣṇa is Rukmiṇī is so keen to have Kṛṣṇa as her husband. I can relate, by the way, that the most wonderful drama I think I've ever seen in my life was performed in Brooklyn, New York, by a troupe of devotees who were resident there and used to do plays practically every weekend. And when Srila Prabhupada was present, they performed the kidnapping of Rukmiṇī. You may have seen a picture of Prabhupada sitting in a white rocking chair with a pink cushion, surrounded by devotees. So he's watching the drama. Rukmiṇī was played by my late god sister, Rasagyadasi, who was an expert actress. Her husband played Kṛṣṇa, Mohitaksha, I think he played Kṛṣṇa. And Lokamangala Das played Rukmiṇī. He was always the demon. He was a fabulous demon. But I especially remember the prayer where the letter is written to the Brahmin. where Rukmiṇī is imploring Krishna, please marry me, and expressing that she just wanted to be Krishna's eternal servant. And she was, Rasagya recited these lines so feelingly. And with Prabhupada there in the audience, she said, I just want to be your servant life after life. It was wonderful. A wonderful drama. And as we'll find in the later part, the Krishna disfigures Rukmiṇī. We'll hear about that, cutting his hair in patches. Prabhupada said, oh, worse than death. And later Prabhupada said that the play was better than the book. So that we see that Rukmiṇī is so keen to marry Krishna, and Krishna tells the Brahmin that as she's always thinking of me, I'm always thinking of her. We also hear how King Bhishmaka is reluctantly doing everything. Marriages to this day are, especially in India, a very big deal. All the ceremonies go on for days, and there's music, and there's ceremonies, and there's flowers, and there's this, and there's that. We won't talk about how it's sort of slid under the influence of Bollywood, but still all of these things are there, and the groom arrives on a horse. He doesn't know anything about riding a horse, but somebody helps him. But it's a tremendous occasion, and especially in wealthy families, so much money is spent, and there's no pains are spared to make the occasion wonderful. So all of this is going on. Bhishmaka is reluctantly doing everything. Really, he wanted to give his daughter to Krishna. Everybody wanted Rukmiṇī to be Krishna's. But Rukmiṇī had arranged the marriage with Shishupal, and so Bhishmaka is carrying on. And the last person in the world who wanted anything to do with Shishupal was Rukmiṇī. She didn't want, and she'd expressed to Krishna that what's meant for the lion should not be given to the jackal. And it seemed that it could happen because the countdown is there. The ceremonies are being performed. She's going to the temple of Durga, and like a little girl, she's thinking, "Oh, it's Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga. There, she's Parvati, the daughter of the Himalayas. She's cold. And Rudra and Rajani, they're going to make me cry forever in the house of Shishupal." So she was, what to do. But then Krishna appears on the scene. It's notable that she'd never seen Krishna, but just by hearing from the sages, she developed attraction for Krishna. She heard about his qualities, his activities, and she fixed her mind that I have to have Krishna as my husband. So then Krishna arrives in the nick of time, as they say, and we'll hear more tomorrow. Also, that she's praying to Durga as the gopis were praying to Katyayani. So we're not against demigod worship, but the worship is, please let me be engaged in the service of Krishna. And that's a brief summary. Yes?
Okay. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, we heard a lot about the decorations of Rukmiṇī and all her female attributes. I heard once a pastime of Prabhupada where he was speaking to some men and he was explaining about women. They're like this, they're like that, quite harsh. And then Yamuna Devi was in the
Speaking
audience.
harshly?
Yeah, quite like, yeah. And then Yamuna Devi was in the audience and he said, "Isn't that right, Yamuna Devi?" And she's like, "Yes, Prabhupada." But afterwards, he came to her and he said, "But this doesn't account for you because you're not a woman, you're a Vaishnavi." So I was wondering, how does this apply to us? This that Prabhupada said, because I feel like sometimes in ISKCON, we of course try to transcend the bodily level, but because all the distinctions we make between men and women and the regulations and the etiquette, sometimes it gets even more emphasized in our consciousness.
Yeah. Your comment about it's sort of offhand, but since it came to my mind, Prabhupada remarked how, now who was it? King Edward of England had renounced the throne. He'd become attracted to an American woman, a commoner, and it became a crisis in British politics where the Parliament, everyone was pushing him to give up this woman because he's the king. He can't be involved with a low-class American woman. And finally, he abdicated the throne. I would rather give up the throne of England than to live without the woman I love. I'm roughly paraphrasing. And Prabhupada said, "I saw her picture. She wasn't even pretty." So, yes, these are mundane considerations. On the material platform, very often we evaluate, if a guy is strong and handsome and speaks in clever ways and has a lot of money in his pocket, and if the girl is beautiful and so on, then we think, yes. These are all natural material considerations. Men are attracted to beautiful women. Women are attracted to strong and handsome men. And this is the way of the world. Which is why in the Vedic tradition, marriages are arranged. Because otherwise, a man becomes just bewildered by feminine beauty and doesn't consider anything else. And the woman becomes enchanted by the clever words of the man or by his professions of love and by his physique and so on. And everything is built on sense gratification. And then as the sense gratification inevitably doesn't turn out to be quite what we expected, or it just starts to fade, then we start thinking, well, wait a second. And then, we're not really compatible and blah, 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 blah. And we want to start hopping from one to the next. Therefore, the responsibility was with the parents, who would consider very carefully what is the qualification of the girl, what is the qualification of the guy. They would consider how they're matched, what is the family background, what's his earning power, what can she cook. It's like they'd be like an exam. If I gave you, potatoes and spinach and this, what items could you cook? Well, I could cook this. Oh, okay. Good. Well, I don't know what I could cook. So in so many different ways, the parents would consider. The girl could put in her word, as we found with Devahuti. She confided in her parents what she had in mind. but it was really up to them to see that everything was nicely arranged. And they would stick for life. They would stick for life. So one reflection from your question is that in the business of marriage, the best consideration is Krishna consciousness. If everything is built on the basis of Krishna consciousness, then things will be good as far as possible. There'll always be some disagreement, there'll always be some dissatisfaction. That's the material world. But Krishna consciousness is steady, and the mind is unsteady. So if things are built on Krishna consciousness, then you can have a steady life, and especially because the happiness comes from serving Krishna. And service to Krishna is eternal. Service to Krishna doesn't get disappointing as we get older. It increases. So if the marriage is built on Krishna consciousness, then we can expect happiness, we can expect steadiness, we can expect spiritual realization and progressive life. If it's really just sense gratification front and center, then there'll be disappointment. Rajasastu palam dukkham. The outcome of passion is misery. The outcome of passion is misery. So that's one reflection. The most important qualification, Krishna consciousness, from both sides. Now in India, they've gone mad and they've made educational qualifications the most important thing. The girl should have a career. She should have at least an MBA or a PhD or something like that. And so she should be at least 37 or something. And then they think about getting her married. It's totally wacko. It's totally wacko. The most important thing is Krishna consciousness. And education, Hare Krishna. Then as far as sort of emphasizing or making points about men, about women, and it seems to draw the lines more boldly in one sense. Yes and no. On the one side, we need to hear these instructions. We're not, on the Paramahansa platform, we don't need to hear these. Shukadeva Goswami didn't need to hear anything about any of this. The ladies that he passed who were just bathing in the river didn't even think about putting their clothes on because they saw that he doesn't see a difference. For him, and like a child, children go with their mother, with their, the little boy goes with their mother into the women's room, and nobody thinks, oh no, because he's a child. So Shukadeva Goswami was like that, unlike us. Unlike his father, even Vyasadeva, he was a householder, so he had to recognize the difference between man and woman. So that's the most strong, attractive force in the material world. Pumsastriya maitani bhavaneta. The whole world is built on attraction between male and female. And therefore the Vedic culture separates, not only Vedic culture, religious cultures all over the world separate men and women. If you see some old Catholic schools in America, you'll see the door marked boys and the door marked girls, because they knew there's separation is good. If you go into a Jewish temple, you'll see that there's one side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle. So these distinctions are ignored at our peril. The woman is like fire, the man is like butter. You put the two together, you get melted butter, and therefore they should be kept separate, except when there's a need for them to be together. And that will help us. I don't think in our Krishna consciousness movement we've ever had serious problems caused by too much separation between men and women. It's always the other way. That said, there should be respect on all sides. It's not that, what is that? Yatra naryastu pujante ramante tatra devata. Where women are worshipped, there the demigods enjoy. In Vedic culture, women are given so much respect. They're cared for, they're respected, they're not, even Indian law, there's, you can get in serious trouble for, what's the word? Doing things that affect the reputation of a woman. It's still serious. So that should be there also. It's not a reference from Bhagavatam, but who is that fellow? Solzhenitsyn's account of the Russian gulags and all of that. There's one scene where some soldiers are, harassing some old women. And these are the days where, if you messed with a Soviet soldier or representative of the state and authority, you could just be shipped off to who knows where and never seen again. And so these soldiers were harassing these old women. And there were some young women there, and they chewed them out. They said to the soldiers, "These are your mothers. And how dare you?" And the soldiers, they knew. So women should always be respected. That's the other side. Is that okay? Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Our Guru Maharaj says we should come regularly to the Holy Dham to become purified from all this material contamination. How is it possible when we were in the Holy Dham and go back to our places and live in an outside temple life? How it is possible to maintain the degree of purification we got here, or is it possible at all?
When we go back, how do we keep the benefits, the purification of visiting the Holy Dham with us after we go back to wherever it is, to Johannesburg or New York or London or Sydney? So we should keep Vrindavan in our hearts. We should remember Vrindavan. Think about this Krishna book. We'll read, we'll remember Vrindavan or Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities. We can remember and take this with us and then look forward to coming back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just taking back to the previous question, which Mataji was raising. So we see in this pastime that Rukmiṇī did reject what her parents have selected.
Yes.
So does that give an exception to the world that if the parents are not qualified?
If you were after Krishna and your parents have got somebody else, Rukmiṇī later expressed to Krishna that anyone who's married to someone other than you has a husband who's just a bag of mucus, bile, and air with some hair on his head and some mustaches, but he's just junk.
This is a tiny thing. So most of us, maybe some of them are coming from second generation of the parents from the Krishna consciousness, but most of are not coming from that. So our parents are still not devotees. So how do we respond to them in terms of...
Well, now you're getting into special cases. How do we deal with this one and this one? And that, because every case is different. From one point of view, a simple... I've heard Prabhupada express this. It's a rough paraphrase from a general recollection. Somehow or other, she should be married. Somehow or other, let them get married. The men, we're always, want to get the perfect match, and we're, doing the scores and the horoscopes and everything. But finally, anyway, he needs to be married, she needs to be married, let them all get married. And then, most important, live with what you get. Live with what you get. That's part of the Western disease. As soon as we got whatever we got, now, I don't know, I'm not happy. And then, you start imagining that we'll be happy in some other arrangement. So this is part of the Vedic culture. Be satisfied with what you got. It's not all that different. The Prabhupada told that story about the old and diseased, but he was lusting after some prostitute. And his wife saw, a very chaste, faithful wife, that her husband's not happy. And finally he confessed to her that I'm after that prostitute. That's where my heart is. So the story is long, but anyway, she became a servant of that prostitute. And the prostitute asks, you're serving me, you're doing so much, why? No, my husband wants to be with you. The prostitute laughed. You don't know how expensive I am. Anyway, it was fixed up that the husband would finally get the opportunity. He came to the house of the prostitute, and according to the way of things, they didn't just get down to business. First, there was a meal served, so the prostitute is serving him, rice and dal and sabjis and everything, but everything in two, from two pots. One from an iron pot, one from a gold pot. So this sabji from an iron pot and the same sabji from a gold pot. This rice from an iron pot, from a gold pot, everything like that. So she's serving him, and he says, how do you like it? He says, well, why is everything in two pots? And she said, no, first tell me how you like it. How is the... She gave him something from the gold pot. Is it nice? Oh, very nice. And then from the iron pot, is it nice? Yes, very nice. But why is everything in two pots? He said, because you're such a fool that the same thing that you get from your wife, you're looking for from me, and you're thinking it's different. You're such a nonsense rascal. What is that? Manaprasada somyatvam. This is austerity of the mind, just to be satisfied. And we can forego so many difficulties and dramas and miseries just by saying, all right, it is what it is. I got what I got. Let me be satisfied. Let me be satisfied. And Prabhupada said that this is like a hallmark of Indian culture. In India, where Americans would be rioting and protesting, and Indian people, all right, we can adjust. We can adjust. So that's the first thing. But all right, it may not be exactly and this and that, but this is the material world. Nothing's ever exactly. So, all right, let us be satisfied. That's a general sort of answer. Specific answers would have to be case by case. Is that okay? And the other thing, and this is particularly for the benefit of parents and especially fathers, that it's the responsibility of the father to get their daughters married, not to wait till the daughter's like 27 and then start thinking about what kind of arrangement. You can't make any arrangement then. She's got a mind of her own, and there's nothing you can. Everything's already out of your hand. But when the girl is young, then the father has the responsibility. We have to find a suitable young man for the daughter. And typically, the fathers today, the girl is like 18, 24, and he's still seeing my little girl, but she's not the little girl anymore. So the fathers have to be, what's the word? On it. They have to anticipate, think ahead, and see to these things so that the daughter will be happily settled up in her life and can get on with the business of Krishna consciousness. Okay. Yes. And if you can't marry your daughter to Krishna, then find a devotee of Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I wanted to know, why is the grave or shrine of a great personality called Samadhi?
Why is a grave or shrine for a great personality called a Samadhi? I can only guess. I don't have an authority to cite. I don't have a verse for you or something. I could probably make a good guess, but I don't think I should guess.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. It's 5:30 now. Maybe one more question, and then.
Hare Krishna. I was reading something that Srila Prabhupada said. It's Canto 1, chapter 6, text 14, I think. Text 13. And he's speaking about sannyasis. And there's one thing that puzzles me. Said, Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of a sannyasi, and in the age of Kali, the so-called sannyasis should not change their former names, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, the idea here it has to do with traditional naming conventions. There would be brahmacharis and there would be sannyasis, and there would be brahmacharis under, I didn't bring the water, under the care of a particular sannyasi. And the sannyasis would have their names like Saraswati or Ban or Aranya or so on. And then, according to the name of the sannyasi, the brahmacharis were also named Swarup or Chaitanya and so on. So generally, one takes sannyas and he changes his name. And the Mayavadis think, now I've taken a sannyas, so I'm as good as Narayan. We see that I'd heard about it, but then I saw it in action when I went to the Kumbh Mela in Haridwar some years ago. That because I was a sannyasi then, the Mayavadi sannyasis others were offering me obeisances. Namo Narayan, Namo Narayan. Because their idea is that when you take sannyas, you become identical with Narayan. So to avoid this kind of misconception, this kind of outrageous false pride, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the name that he had, or the name that one would have in brahmachari life. and didn't accept the sannyas title, like Saraswati or so on. So that was Chaitanya, and that was sort of a puzzle. People didn't know why he didn't change his name, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave this explanation. But in ISKCON and in Prabhupada's society and in Gaudiya Math, upon accepting sannyas, one receives a sannyas title. And in one sense, that's for preaching. It's not so that we can be proud. I'm Saraswati Goswami, I'm Swami, such and such. It's for preaching. Is that okay? Okay. Yes.
I have a question about blessings.
A question about blessings. It's a different question from "Can I have yours?" Right? Thank you. I am. I think not because of the microphone, but you're doing fine.
All right. So, like in the text, it seems that Hare Krishna. In the text, it seems that everyone is blessing the marriage of Rukmiṇī and Kṛṣṇa, and even though there are so many opponents, then it always seems like that in Krishna Lila, that the blessings are the thing that creates the outcome.
Blessings are so important.
And so, on the one hand, maybe you can speak about what that means for practical life, and maybe you can also draw the bridge to that principle of satisfaction, because if one is satisfied, what are blessings for? Why do we need blessings?
If we're satisfied, why do we need blessings? Yeah. This is an item of civilized culture. Finally, everyone depends on the blessings of the personality of Godhead. Without Krishna's blessings, we can't do anything. We can't get up in the morning without Krishna's blessings. Can't pick up a toothpick without Krishna's blessings. Everything depends on Krishna's blessings, ultimately. Krishna is known as Bharadraj. There's a deity in South India, Bharadraj. Jayadvaita Swami. Bharadraj means the king of the person who, amongst those who give blessings. Finally, he's blessing Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, all the demigods. All blessings come from Krishna. And then those who are in a superior position to us represent Krishna. We talked the other day about how the king represents Krishna. How the father and mother represent Krishna. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam, one should worship the demigods, Deva, Dvija, the Brahmins, or twice born, the Guru, the spiritual master, and Pragya, the superiors like the father and mother, because they're representing Krishna. They're representing Krishna. Our superiors represent Krishna. The whole civilization really depends on superiors and subordinates. We want a civilization where everybody's equal to everybody else. No one's superior, no one's equal. Children are, just as good as their parents. Everybody's good as everybody else. But the Vedic culture is a culture of respect. You have two things. We have respect for superiors going up, and then we have blessings from superiors coming down. And they're both important. Without respect, where will be the blessings? And without blessings, how will we progress? The blessings of Krishna and the blessings of those who represent Krishna. When the Kurukshetra war was about to start. The Arjuna shot an arrow that landed just at the feet of Bhishma Dev, offering respect, that now I have to fight with you, now I may have to kill you, but please accept my respects. And Bhishma Dev shot an arrow just touching Arjuna's head. Yes, please accept my blessings. Yes. And the comment is there someplace that without having sought the blessings of Bhishma Dev, he would have lost the war. Before Duryodhana went off to war, he sought the blessings of Gandhari, his saintly mother, and she refused. And we know what happened. So the blessings of superiors are so important. Of course, the spiritual master especially represents Kṛṣṇa, but superiors represent Kṛṣṇa. And therefore, civilization is seen, or a civilized person is a person who knows how to respect superiors. If we don't know how to do that, then we're like uncouth. We're rogues. And you find this in any culture worthy of its name. There's respect to the elders, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in America, any place where there's civilization, in the Middle East, this principle is there, respect for superiors. And the counterpart of respect is blessings. I don't know exactly how blessings work. We don't have a scientific explanation of how the mechanics of blessings take place, but it's not mechanical, but by the blessings of superiors, we move forward in our life. Ultimately, by the blessings of Kṛṣṇa. When it comes, we offer at least, what's the word, formal respect. That's also there in Rupa Goswami. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti yad pranitibis sadvajantamisham shushushaya bhajana vigya mananya manya nindari shunya hridamipsita sangalabdva. If a person is just chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, we offer him respect in our minds. Oh, he's chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa. Ooh. And, he's initiated. Krishna Das, Govinda Dasi. We offer respects, pranitibis. Please accept my humble obeisances. And someone is expert, advanced, pure-hearted, then we just want to have his association render service. So according to the position, we offer respect. Even in Vaishnava society, it's not that once you become a Vaishnava, everybody's equal, all the same. No. Even among the Vaishnavas, we offer respect within the mind to some, to others, by offering obeisances, to others by surrendering and serving, to others in the third canto you find by respecting them from a distance, because their behavior is not very good, but they're Vaishnavas, so still we'll offer respect. And one has to accept the position of superior also, unfortunately. We feel, I think, as Westerners, we feel especially awkward in receiving respect from subordinates. But in India, it's really a natural part of culture that the the juniors offer respect and the seniors offer blessings. That's the culture. In America, we're not used to that. Don't offer me respect. I'm just an ordinary person, but humble Vaishnavas, but really it's their duty to offer respect. One accepts the position of guru. He has to accept. He may feel I'm the lowest of the low, I'm the most unqualified, but people are coming to him as disciples offering respect. He has to accept. But he offers blessings. Why? Because who is the respect meant for? It's not meant for the body or the mind. It's meant for Kṛṣṇa. The spiritual master is representing Kṛṣṇa. So then he accepts respect, not on his own behalf, but on behalf of Kṛṣṇa. And then he offers blessings, not on his own behalf, but on behalf of Kṛṣṇa, through the succession. Yeah, we'll give it just a very few more minutes. And I have to be a little more on time today because I have a meeting following this meeting. So we'll try to be a little timely. Maybe we'll see how long the questions are. Take one or two more. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Maharaj, you were mentioning the play on Rukmiṇī. And
A little louder.
Sorry, you were mentioning the play on Rukmiṇī that Prabhupada watched.
Play, yes.
My question is, sometimes the people receiving Krishna conscious theatre may not be practicing bhakti yogis, but they may appreciate the sentiment, even though they don't understand the tattva. Do they still get purified?
Oh, yes. These plays are wonderful. Prabhupada encouraged us to do these dramas specifically for the benefit of people coming. Drama is a wonderful way to convey the message of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we have some play that's very instructive, that has a moral to it. Or sometimes we have plays that are Krishna Lila and so on. But the audience, they may not understand the tattva, they may not understand, but they become attracted anyway. They can get it that she's such a beautiful girl and he's such a hero. So they're attracted. That's good. And then they can get the book and get the tattva behind the play. That's the best way. You do the drama and sell the book. Okay, that was a short question. Yes.
Hare Krishna, I have a question regarding the austerity of the mind. When we have the feeling that we are not rightly situated in Krishna consciousness, shall we be still simply satisfied? Or is
no, we should always be dissatisfied.
Okay, so it is correct, and we inquire when we pray, when we try to find out where could be the suitable service or place.
The Goswamis were always dissatisfied. They didn't, as Prabhupada said, they didn't think, now we've seen Radharani and Krishna, our life is perfect. No, they were always feeling, hey Radhe, Brajadevike, where are you, where are you? They're always feeling insufficient. So that should be there. There's a very interesting sidebar to that. I heard this from Satsvarup Maharaj. Maybe I saw the letter also, if there was a letter, but it was an instruction. It was in regard to, it may appear, in fact, in Prayers of King Kulashekar or Narada Bhakti Sutra, sort of lesser known works of Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada made this point. You know, we sometimes feel that I'm low, I'm unqualified, I'll never be Krishna conscious. I'm not making any progress. And in one sense, that's good. We feel that we haven't arrived. We have so much distance between ourselves and the goal. I can't be complacent. I can't just sit back and say, yeah, I'm a devotee. Been a devotee since 1975. I was the head of this, and I served here, and I distributed books for 12 years. I did this, I did that. And next thing is just to go hang back and wait till I go back to Godhead. We should always feel insufficient. But on the other side, that feeling of insufficiency should not result in a diminution of service. I'm so fallen, I can never serve Krishna. I can't cook, I can't do the offering, I can't clean the temple, I can't do anything. And so I won't. I'll just cry, I'll just mope, I'll just lament my fate and so on, and I won't serve. That's called sense gratification. Arjuna, he's lamenting and he wants to leave the battlefield. I can't fight. So it's good to feel lowly. We see that example in the songs of our acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada's writing the most unqualified, insignificant beggar. So all of our acharyas are showing us this path of insufficiency. But we should not allow that. We shouldn't wallow in that. We shouldn't take that as the conclusion that I should therefore just mope and be despondent and not serve. Rather, that feeling should result in the sense that I have to serve more. Is that okay? Okay, I'm going to stop here. As mentioned. Am I right? I have a couple more minutes. Yeah. I'll take maybe one more. Yes. Microphone here.
Maharaj, it's again related to blessing. Sometimes people approach us and ask us for blessings, and I saw your reaction just now when the Prabhu asked about that. And I think I've heard also Prabhupada doing the same thing when people come and just ask for blessing for the sake of asking blessing out of sense of etiquette or whatever they grew up with. But what exactly will attract blessings? Does that mean the person...
Service attracts blessings.
Yeah. So it's not the physical person touching your head exactly, or is it just...
Yeah, what is this respect and blessings? Very often it's just formal, please accept my humble obeisances, or it's just whatever, a sort of official, I know that I'm supposed to offer you respect, and so I'm going to do that. Even that is good. That's cultural training. That this person is superior, whatever, I should offer my respect. That's also good. Rather than, who are you to think you're any better than me, We're all communists here. So even that, just official respect. But then you kind of get official blessings. But tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. We approach the superior, especially the guru, by offering respect, by offering service, and by questions. Yes. And by also, what kind of blessings do you want? And the other day it was a woman who I forget what it was, whether her son should pass his exams or, they think that this is what a sannyasi is for, just to sort of put a stamp of approval on your application for material progress. That's their idea. Prabhupada asked one time, someone asked, please give me your ashirvad, your blessings. But Prabhupada, they were on a train, I think, with Prabhupada's devotees. And Prabhupada asked them, what kind of ashirvad do you want? And it was the usual mundane blessings. And Prabhupada pointed to his shaved-headed devotees. He said, I give you my blessings to become like them. But the sincere, so the sincere blessings of the superior can help us so much, and to approach with sincere desire for spiritual benefit. Sincere desire for spiritual benefit will help us. And then with that attitude of service, Narad Muni was serving the Bhakti Vedantas, and he became Narad Muni. So he got the blessings. We try to, yes. Is that all right? Okay, and now we will have Kirtan. And who's leading Kirtan today? Is it Giridhari Puja? Is it someone else? Your Kirtan has been nice. Very nice. Is that Tulsi? Okay, shall we give Tulsi have Tulsi lead today? Oh, and we have an announcement or two. Tomorrow, again, we'll meet here, and Saturday we won't meet. Kadamba Maharaj is having his Saturday class, I think from 3 to 5, so that overlaps, and we don't need to shuttle you from one class to another, rearranging schedules. So Saturday, your program is with Kadamba Maharaj, and then I suppose we'll resume here. And I think it's a lot nicer here than in that flat, isn't it? We have a little space. It's amazing that, well, anyway, yes. And thank you for the amazing kirtans for the last couple of days, Giridhari Puja. So nice. And we'll come back to you for more. And I have to leave here by about 1:15. I've run a little late, haven't I? Yeah. Oh, and there's some prasadam for you, those who are leaving early. See that they get some prasadam for them. Not early, but leaving now.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna
Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kuni Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamana Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Om Vishnupad Panaman Supari Brajakacharya Shtotra Satashi Shimad Kadamba Kanana Swami Miraj ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Is your camera still running? Yes. Still running. Okay.